What's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, doing the what's next on Chris Eubank Jr., the former world title challenger, as he came back and got a credible unanimous decision victory over Liam Williams, as he knocked him down 4 times in their middleweight showdown that took place on Saturday, February 5th on DAZN. You know, Eubank just started early. He landed a crisp jab in the first round that put Williams down. I think he put him down with another jab, but his left hand was on point in the first half of the fight. Second half of the fight, he kind of, moved away, stuck and moved, didn't really do much, was throwing one punch at a time. Williams won a bunch of rounds in a row, but when the judges came back, they came back with a unanimous decision in favor of Eubank, and all those knockdowns helped because I wasn't able to see the fight. I tried to tune into ESPN and it wasn't on anywhere that I could find it. But what I took from that fight was, at least from the scorecard that I was going off of, I was watching a live scorecard on boxingscene.com, and they had it 114-110 was the final, which essentially is 6 rounds to 6. But because of the 4 knockdowns, Eubank walked away with a clean decision win right there. So, those knockdowns help. Knockdowns help in boxing a lot. So Eubank scored 4 of them impressively and now moves on and really probably puts himself right back around the top 5 with that win over Liam Williams. He looked better than Demetrius Andrade did the year before against Williams. So that's telling. That's a good one. That moves him back up the ladder. And the big question now is what's next for Chris Eubank Jr. Like we know, Chris Eubank always just wants to be considered for the big fights. He calls out Canelo. He calls out Triple G. Those are the fights that he wants right now. But can he land one of those fights? That's the big question. Eubank right now is ranked pretty high he's the WBA's #1 ranked contender. Erislandy Lara sitting there as the WBA regular champion. If Triple G, doesn't decide to fight against Eubank, or if Triple G captures the WBA middleweight title in his next fight against Ryota Murata, as they're supposed to unify belts, will Triple G or Murata look at the regular champion? Will they be ordered to fight the regular champion? That's the other thing. The WBA has been trying to consolidate all their world titles down to 1 champion per division. When's the WBA going to order a middleweight title fight? Or decide on that? Erislandy Lara is sitting there as the regular champion. So, will Eubank go after a guy like Lara? If I'm Eubank, I think I'd be crazy not to, unless he can really gain interest from fighting Triple G. But again, all of this swirls around Canelo Alvarez and what Alvarez decides to do next. Canelo right now, they're saying, is leaning towards moving up to light heavyweight and capturing a belt there in May against Dimitri Bivol, which is no easy task, and then moving back down to super middleweight, defending his undisputed super middleweight title against Triple G Gennady Golovkin. Triple G is supposed to go after Ryota Murata in a middleweight unification bout, and if he's got Canelo locked up for September or second half of the year, he's going to vacate all those world titles. So that would make the WBA order Lara versus Chris Eubank, and I think that's something Chris Eubank needs to consider seriously right there. I don't think Chris Eubank's going to get the showdown with Triple G if it goes that way. But, let's run through it. Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. I think this fight is only possible for Chris Eubank if Triple G does not land the 3rd fight with Canelo this year. And it's going to be up to what Canelo decides he wants to do. If Canelo wants to do a 1-fight deal, at a time, if he wants to fight Jamal Charlo and then turn around and fight Triple G in September, then Eubank's not going to know until months and months from now if he's even in consideration. If not, Triple G beats Murata, maybe Triple G goes after Chris Eubank Jr. Maybe he does. Who knows? I don't think Eubank's even a secondary option after Canelo for Triple G. Maybe he is. But, that's the thing. We don't know. Chris Eubank against possibly Demetrius Andrade. I doubt Andrade or Eubank take the risk and fight each other. I just don't think. I think both of them are seeking a big fight and they're not going to cross paths with each other, even though they should. They're both solid names to get on the resume, but I just don't think they do it. Jamal Charlo, he's not going to take the risk against Chris Eubank. He wants to only land Canelo, so not likely there. Jaime Munguia, not likely. I don't think Munguia is going to want to fight Eubank when he has other options that are going to lead him to a world championship next. Number 5, Erislandy Lara. I really think Eubank needs to consider this fight right here because it would be ordered as a mandatory showdown and it would make sense. Lara's a name, Eubank's the bigger guy. I think it's a good matchup for Chris Eubank. Lara's getting older. He takes punches more now because he's not as fast as he used to be and elusive. So I think Eubank, this will be a big win. He become a secondary world champ, and he would guarantee himself a shot at the winner of Triple G and Ryota Murata. And you never know. If Canelo decides to not fight Triple G might just say, fuck it, to hold on to 2 belts, I'll fight Chris Eubank Jr. You never know. Zanabek Alimkhanuly. I don't think Eubank wants anything to do with Alimkhanuly, so I'm going to say no. Number 7, Ryota Murata. If Murata beats Triple G, and there's no rematch clause, maybe this fight's possible, but I think it's a little less likely. And then Carlos Adames at number 9. He's lining himself up for the WBC title in some kind of fashion, so I don't see him and Eubank locking horns. And Liam Williams was my number 10. He's going to drop out. But for Chris Eubank, I think he needs to be smart. I really think he needs to push the WBA to order Lara to fight him in a mandatory title fight for the secondary world title, because at least it keeps a name on his resume while he's waiting around for Triple G and Canelo, which is, he seems hell-bent on it. That's the only reason why I'm even throwing his name in there. I don't think he's really an option. I don't think he's an option at all for Canelo. And I think Triple G is a maybe if Triple G stays at 160 and doesn't get the Canelo fight this year. I think Eubank would be a possibility. So I think he needs to explore that. I think he needs to see what's going to happen, but he also needs to put pressure on the WBA to enforce these fights to possibly go down, so we have a clear direction on where these 2 guys, where Eubank could land next and against who. So we'll see what happens, but that's what I got. That's the what's next on former world title challenger Chris Eubank Jr. following his very solid 12-round unanimous decision over Liam Williams in a middleweight showdown. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been hit with the truth.